Wigan at the weekend, they'll be looking to consolidate a top four challenge against a Rovers side that sadly seems doomed to relegation. But form counts for nothing in derby games, and if Rovers could win today, it would give them perhaps even greater pleasure than usual. But their demise does sadden heroes of the past.
It's a tragic blow, because you're going to miss the likes of people seeing your Martin Afires, blistering pace, and people coming in like Jonathan Davis just coming into the game. And I think we'll miss all that.
It's terrible for the city if they go down. You know, both sides doing well, and the town does well. Simple as that, John.
It doesn't do the city any good at all. I mean, we need two major clubs. I mean, we see that in the attendances and all the good things which come with rugby league. You know, develops around. You know, a few half a dozen clubs in Wigan and Leeds and people like this, and Hull and Old Kingston Rovers.
Hull are going for a league double today, having won by 15 points to 12 at Craven Park in January. Gary Devorty was there to chase a loose ball through. The actual try scorer was Australian David Moon. Well, Hull got further points on the board with another Australian involved, Craig Coleman, following through there to get the touchdown. But the scores were actually level at half-time. Then Welshman Gary Pearce put boot to ball, towering drop goal. Hull were in front, and at the final whistle, it was total jubilation for Hull FC. Well, 9 years ago, of course, the two sides went to Wembley for the Challenge Cup final, and the greatest moment in his career for the one and only Clive Sullivan, who played in 28 derby games, 18 for Hull, 10 for Rovers. And what a proud man Clive would be today as son Tony makes a derby debut. Anthony, you watched your father play in many a derby game, but what's it like for you now facing your first one as a player?
Oh, I'm very nervous, of course, but I hope that we can win. That's really what I've come here to do.
Yeah. But it's perhaps the biggest day of your life so far.
Up to now in my career, yeah, definitely.
And Sullivan isn't the only player experiencing the rare atmosphere of the Humberside derby for the first time. Graham Hallis standing in for the injured George Fairbairn at fullback. Steve Robinson, a recent £25,000 signing from Halifax. Prop forward Colin Armstrong, who came from Carlisle a few weeks ago. And former Featherstone man Paul Lyman all start a derby game for the first time. And now our caption isn't wrong. David Bishop is wearing the number 14 shirt. Although he's starting the game, he's superstitious about wearing number 13. Andy Thompson has that one, he's on the bench. Well, much could depend on Wayne Parker, the halfback, who's just come back to the side after a long injury layoff. David Watkins.
He's a good playmaker, a most effective link between backs and forwards. He's a good kicker from the hand and an excellent drop kicker, landing one in both his previous derby appearances at the Boulevard. An opportunist whose potential has been stifled by Hull Kingston Rovers' lack of success this season.
There are no selection problems for Brian Smith, and every one of Hull's starting lineup has played in a derby. Indeed, he even has the luxury of being able to recall Paul Eastwood to the right wing position. Eastwood was a frequent scorer in the first half of the season until he was sidelined through injury. And another in outstanding form for them this season has been fullback Paul Fletcher.
His positional play is of the highest order, in keeping with good fullbacks. His attacking skills are never more evident than when running the ball out of defence to a broken field. And is always quick to lend support to his three-quarters. Has a lethal sidestep which deceives the best of defences. He's been an influential member of a well-organised and successful Hull side.
Well, because this is a holiday programme, there have been 3 matches this evening, and we'll have the highlights from the other matches involving the title race. There's Leeds against Bradford Northern at Headingley, and Castleford against Featherstone Rovers at Weldon Road. And at kick-off time, I can tell you that it is extremely blustery here at the Boulevard. But I think the wind is a cross one, so it might not affect the players badly as it would have done if he'd been blind from one end to the other. Hull Kingston Rovers, of course, in red and white. Hull in black and white. And David alongside me. Considerable speculation here on Humberside this morning about Gavin Miller, the Australian loose forward. He's out injured, but there is talk that he might well be going to Wigan next season.
Well, that'll be a sad loss, obviously, to Hull Kingston Rovers. They've obviously had a troublesome season, and the loss of a class player like Gavin Miller most certainly won't help their cause in any way or form.
Now Miller has been one of the few players in Hull KR's disappointing season who's played well. And the referee is Jerry Kershaw from Easingwold for the second successive match on Scrumdown. We had him at Odsall for the Bradford Widnes game last Sunday. Windley, change of direction by Windley, did well there and gives it back inside for Dannett, and Dannett finds support too. Lee Jackson acting half-back, along the line is Gary Pearce. Now his kicking could be a very influential factor today, but a good pick-up here by full-back Graham Hallis, who's playing instead of George Fairbairn in that position. Well, the record over the years has just gone Hull's way. They've won 91 of the derby matches against Hull KR's 83, 10 of them drawn. And Hull have also won more games here on their own ground against the old enemy. Well, Hull's coach, Brian Smith, is a very shrewd tactician, and he's built himself a crow's nest here at the Boulevard, so he can watch the play from a higher level. Very intelligent thing to do, and this is the view that Brian Smith has of the game, and it just shows that he is a very, very astute coach indeed. Bishop backing down in the loose forward position, which might be a surprise to some people in Wales. Of course, there was a half-back now, and then Paul Fletcher, the first really good running moment of the match. And there'll be a penalty awarded against Bishop here for not allowing Fletcher up at the play the ball. Just a word about that, the fact that Bishop is playing at loose forward. Are you surprised at that?
Not at all, really. I mean, he is a very good footballer. He's a strong lad as well, and I think he probably will get more involved in the game. But having a speech about hanging on in tackles, that is coming too frequent in our game, and it's got to be stopped.
Now, a real roar of expectancy for the first time from the Hull fans, because Hull are camped just outside the Hull Kingston Rovers try line. And you can see there how close they are to it. And it looks as though they'll swing the ball right with Dannett, who will be held up. He might be a big, strong fella, but there was no way through that little posse. Now Windley, and it looks as though the game's first try has been scored for Hull. Despite the tackle, Gary Pearce is the man. And that's the first time, really, they've threatened the Robins line, and they get 4 points due reward.
Well, indiscipline cost them this. Hull got up right in 5 yards from the line. A short pass out to Pearce, straight run in, took him over. A good start for Hull.
It looks simple enough. And it is to a kicker of the calibre of the try scorer and the goal kicker, Gary Pearce. Hull lead 6-0. Hull Kingston Rovers really have got to use the advantage of the wind in this half.
Well, they certainly have. They've got to keep them pinned down there. They've got to move the ball about. It's no good doubling back and just having the one pass, one runner, because that's all it's doing, is giving Hull's defence time to really get to grips with it.
Porter's done well there. He's an Australian who's come over and again found it difficult in a struggling side, but he's stayed on to help the cause. Bishop fainted and then tried to wriggle his way through himself. And they've got plenty of men up here. So Emma couldn't squeeze his pass into Robinson. Hull defending well so far, so they might just be stretched here with Lyman, who's good close to the line. And it would do their confidence so much good if they could get some points, and Wilby picks it up. And again, the initiative is lost. Jackson, his first really full season, only got into the side because Sean Patrick was injured early on. And he's really taken full advantage of his opportunity. Oh, and a good ball from Windley. It's put down now, ironically by Jackson. But he's one of the promising young hookers in the game.
Yes, he is. We were talking about him before when Patrick went out of the game. This lad came in and has done so well for them that he's now kept keeping Patrick out, and that says much for the young lad.
And Hull Kingston Rovers are making a substitution. The one who's gone off is David Laws. Penalty is for Hull Kingston Rovers, and Mike Fletcher has the chance here to really bring Rovers back into the game with their first points of the match. It's a straight enough kick, and with the very great assistance of the wind. Here he comes. And that looks pretty good. Up go the flags. Hull Kingston Rovers have their first points of the match. They still trail though by 6-2. Price is running well here. Oh, he's galloping away. What a tremendous surging run by Richard Price, and a fine tackle on him by Bishop. But here again, another youngster for the future, Richard Price. He's already in the Great Britain under-21 side, and you saw a glimpse of why there. Now Sharp, it's hotting up. Pearce, timing of the pass essential here. Went to ground. Well, Richard Price really is one of the most exciting centres in the game.
Yes, he is really. He carves out a gap in the defence here. They can't get to him. Its sheer speed and acceleration has now taken him away. Now it's a chase with a cover defence coming over. Bishop is on his heels, grabs him by the collar here and just throws him down. But what a marvellous run out of defence that was.
Away from Porter, then it got away from Windley. It's Dane O'Hara. Dane O'Hara playing in his 15th successive derby game and his 19th in all. Has there ever been a better overseas acquisition? Good ball, Devorti. Forward. In and out for Rovers. They're a little bit static in some of their work. Hallis tried to put a spring in it. Hammer. Zouk Emma, the fireman. Oh, play the ball to himself, and it's the first time we've seen that in the game. But Emma's run as well as anyone in the pack. Here's Armstrong. 5 minutes to half-time. And how Hull Kingston Rovers need a score. Bishop. Oh, that was, well, they were pedestrian again. Windley... Robinson took the pass and then put it straight into a pair of Hull hands. So Fletcher as well again, and Blacker keeps a move going, and Blacker streaks away, pursued by three men, flings out the ball to his right. Now Eastwood cuts inside, gives it back. Windley's involved, and Jackson, and Wilby. This is much better. Dane O'Hara pops up again and runs back into the tackler. That was much better from Hull, and Hull KR now very much on the defensive. It's Hull on the rampage with Crooks squeezing it away. Dane O'Hara goes over in the corner. The referee looks to see if the try is good. It is. Hull have their second try. Dane O'Hara has his 6th try in derby matches, and Hull go further into the lead. Well, Brian Black has been a really good acquisition from Barrow, and he instigated this move.
Yeah, sure he is now running, but look at the way he's watching either side. The defence is coming in, he throws out a pass, not particularly good, but because Eastwood was looking for where the ball was to come, he took it, caught the defence napping because they were all going across, comes back inside, still gets the ball away for Windley to pass the ball outside the man. And here we go now, a long pass out again. And this is good linking up. Wembley in a little side shuffle, moves it out. Dana Harder runs hard as he always does. Brought down heavily in 2 tackles here. But what a marvellous run it's already been. It's covered something like 60, 70 yards. And they still have the ball out here. Back inside. Now Devotie goes to go to the open side, switches around and comes back inside here. The prop moves the ball out, and that was good. Jackson passes, missed the man, but Dana Harder again backing up. That's what backing up's all about. What a try.
Gary Pearce will do well even to reach the posts with the wind blowing straight at him. Here he comes though. Well, I think mentally he was probably beaten there before he even kicked it. 10-2 it is. Again, Emma. At least he's not stopped running. Looked a forward pass from Robinson, to say the least. Had to be. And there it goes, half-time. Hull leading by 10 points to 2, and well worthy of that lead.
Yes, they'll be rather pleased going in at the half-time with the win now in their favour for the second half. Hull KR, little pedestrian, not playing well at all. They must come out second half. They must have a better game plan. But Hull very pleased with themselves and highly confident that they
to the boulevard. Perfect timing. Hull 10, Hull KR 2, the start of the second half. And Hull with the advantage of the wind in the second half. So in the first half, Hull KR actually took the scrums thanks to David Watkinson, 6-5. And both hookers won 1 against the head. There were only 6 penalties given by referee Kershaw, 3 apiece. And Hull actually made 1 more error in play than Hull Kingston Rovers. A little bit surprising, perhaps, that. On the other hand, it could be that Hull were slightly more adventurous. It's the first time I can remember Richard Pratt being involved over there. Tony Sullivan there playing the ball. Has had a very quiet first derby game. But it's difficult for the wingers to get involved, of course, when the side is not moving the ball out for them.
Yes, they have persisted, Hull KR, in going down the middle, and they haven't given the opportunity to anybody in the outsides at all.
Once more, enterprising play from Fletcher. Good running again from Sharp. A vastly improved player this season, John Sharp. Now Pearce. Over halfway comes Wilby. Gets it back inside, and again the impetus maintained as Pearce goes through a gap. So we're just outside that 25. Devotie, very creative loose forward. That's going to be the handover, and Hull Kingston Rovers have a man injured as well. Well, that's better. That's a very good break. And Paul Fletcher, who scored on his debut on Scrum Down last season against Bradford Northern, has added a bit of enterprise to the Hull Kingston Rovers side in this second half. No progress for Robinson, not against Steve Crooks. He fairly hammers him down. Watkinson for Lyman. Paul Lyman seems to have got a greater appetite in this second half. Certainly see more of the ball. Porter. The kick is by Armstrong. Oh, and a great catch as well by O'Hara. Very difficult in these conditions with the wind swirling around, and Fletcher. Oh, again the elusive Price makes room and gets the pass away. Again it's O'Hara. Well, Hull Kingston Rovers' problems this season have certainly been in defence, and that's an amazing statistic that they've scored more tries than Hull. That bearing in mind, of course, that Hull are up in 5th place in the league table at the start of this game. Hull KR down at the bottom. And again, just underlining Hull Kingston Rovers' problems, while Hull have conceded just 60 tries, Hull Kingston Rovers an amazing 125 conceded. That really does say a lot about their season. Bishop, that was better. A nice little shimmy. Well, down there's a lot of activity on the bench. So Rovers are sticking to their task. The touch judge and the referee both saw that there was a knock on there. David Bishop looks rather bemused by all that. The referee Kershaw has awarded a penalty against Hull KR.
I think I'm a little bemused at exactly what happened there myself. I couldn't really see what it was. Bishop obviously didn't like it either, but Hull are very grateful, and Pearce has put the kick away, but he hasn't. He's missed touch.
Yes, and Hallis making the catch. Hallis has moved around this afternoon. He was out in the left wing position when he took that catch, having started the day at full back and then switched into the three-quarter line when Andy Thompson came on. Of course, another factor here is that Hull still have both their substitutes fresh on the bench, ready to bring on.
That's right, and they've got the advantage of the wind, and if they use that properly, I would think that they must be feeling themselves justly proud now and hoping that they can complete this match with a good win.
They still lead by 10 points to 2. There's been no addition to the score in this second half, but here's Bishop for Hull Kingston Rovers. Oh, knocking on in the tackle. Look at that. That face says it all, doesn't it? And a penalty given as well to the visitors, who've had a good record here at the Boulevard in recent years. They've won 5 of the last 10 games here in the league and drawn 1. So these indeed are rare times for Hull Kingston Rovers. Times they'll probably want to forget in future. Watkinson spun away from Dannett. Armstrong goes in with the shoulder. And they really do need a try. Paul Lyman. Well, drop goals are not much good at this stage. Mike Fletcher running straight into Gary Pearce, who again has done his share of tackling in this match. And Devorty has somehow managed to emerge with the ball, and a penalty awarded against Hull Kingston Rovers, and it's getting just a little bit scrappy, but Devorty seems to be enjoying it.
Yes, well, Hull obviously will be now. Pearce has to make sure he puts this kick away into touch, but it has been scrappy play. The game has dropped down a couple of paces, and it really does need somebody now with some inspiration to lift the game once again.
And Wilby, he's run very strongly again as Tim Wilby. He seems to have had a new lease of life in the second row under Brian Smith. That's good play, and Sharp coming up on the shoulder at the right moment, and now Wellham. Paul Wellham, his strength takes him with his 3 tacklers to within 15 yards of the Hull Kingston Rovers line. Lee Jackson back inside is Brian Blacker. Wellham was coming up inside Blacker as well, hoping for a try-scoring pass, I'm sure. Now it's Windley. Good little dummy as well by Crooks, who's hauled back. And on the last tackle, will Hull keep it going? Will they try for a drop goal? Windley kicks through. And, oh dear, a knock on there. But Hull have the ball back, and Gary Pearce went for his second try there. They just melted away from him. And Pearce has his second try, Hull's third try, and Hull Kingston Rovers looked dead and buried at that moment.
Well, the first time they started putting a bit more commitment in, it is the 6 play the ball here. He kicks through here, the Hull KR defender couldn't get it. Windley was quick enough to get back on it again, and that was good. Now Pearce is watching here, he's looking right and left, he's marshalling people right and left, but the defence is not aware of it, sells the dummy, makes it easy, good try.
They were really caught cold there. No wonder they're having a lecture behind the sticks. It appeared they'd won the ball back, then it seemed as though they'd knock on. Hull got the ball. Pearce scored the try. And Pearce also kicks the goal, which takes Hull into a 16 points to 2 lead, which should be unassailable. Jackson. So it's beginning to look like a league double for Hull in Brian Smith's first season as coach. And he certainly has proved an excellent acquisition from down under.
Oh, he has. He's a good talker, he's a good organiser, and he's really set the Humberside fans buzzing again, and that's exactly what the black and whites wanted.
And the ball is back in Wellham's hands. Fletcher. Oh, Wilby's pass was an excellent one to Sharp, and John Sharp races for the line. Hauled down by Bishop, who's tackled as well as anybody for Hull KR today. Windley, Pearce, and Tim Wilby, who's never stopped running. He's really enjoyed himself. He's revelled in this derby match as Tim Wilby. Windley, and there's always danger here for Hull Kingston Rovers as Windley playing his first derby game for 3 years. He's pulled down. I thought Gary Pearce was going to attempt a drop goal there. Paul Fletcher instead wriggles his way through. Ball goes loose, picked up by Richard Price, and Richard Price gets his first ever derby try. And now it's really turning sour for Hull Kingston Rovers Richard Price's 12th try of the season. He deserves it.
Well, Pearce goes to drop kick for goal, catches the defence flat-footed, but moves a pass out. Again, a dummy goes in. Now just watch, he sizes it up. Little grubber kick ahead. Defence fails to pick it up. Richard Price does. Leaves everybody behind. And that just about puts the nail in Hull KR's coffin.
Right on the 25. Slightly angled for Pearce. It's swirling it, but it's gone wide. And 20 points to 2 it is for Hull, and all Hull KR will be concerned about now is not giving away a drubbing to the old enemy.
Well, they'll be sad about it. They know themselves they haven't played well. Hull haven't really excelled themselves, but they've done enough to win this match because they've played sensible stuff with good passing and good running. And that's been the difference in the two sides. They've really moved it about much better.
Pearce, intelligent kick again. And you've got to say that he's used the wind very well this second half, Gary Pearce. 4 tries, 56 goals and 12 drop goals now for him this season. And he might have cost £65,000, but under Brian Smith, he's turned out to be a good signing.
Yes, they were talking about him before the game and saying how much he's adapted to the game this season, and Brian Smith has had a steadying influence on him. He wouldn't train, he's now got him to train hard, and his commitment to the game now is total, and it's starting to show in Hull's performances.
And he's certainly used the wind to better effect than Hull Kingston Rovers did.
Yes, he has. He's kicked for touch sensibly, he's kicked down the middle of the field, he's turned the defence on time and time again, and that's given Hull footing in the Hull Kingston Rovers half time and time again the second half.
Hull's ball. Now then, can they get a 5th try? They'll all be looking for it now. Price, who's just got one, was the first man in that time. O'Hara and Windley again, and now Wilby. I think Wilby deserves a try on his effort today.
Yes, he's been marvellous. He's been involved in virtually everything. Tackled, run hard. He's done it all.
And Sharp's run well too, and Sharp is here once more. 8 yards out. And well, Hull Kingston Rovers are defending desperately, and Gary Pearce goes over. It's a hat-trick. And really, Hull Kingston Rovers have accepted the inevitable.
Well, they moved the ball again. They put pressure on a Hull KR side. It's lethargic defence, 2 men coming in for one. No real effort. Gary Pearce's 3rd try.
So it's turning into a benefit match almost for the Welshman here. 10 minutes to go. And Gary Pearce, 3 tries, and 2 conversions already. Trying to kick his 3rd goal here. I think yes is the answer. And it is turning into a rout. Fletcher. Good run by him, and away they go again. Oh, and this is really excellent play, and Eastwood, if he cuts inside, he's going to give it out. Oh, and the pass was put down by Blacker. If Eastwood had cut inside, he'd have probably scored.
Well, what a marvellous run that was. I mean, he came out from full-back. It was fully 100 yards of the field, virtually, and Blacker took his eye off it at the wrong time and lost the ball. Just watch this. This is out the defence. Eastwood looking now for but he knows that the defence can't get to him. The cover is coming across, but he does the sensible thing. He passes, and look, it's a fumble, knock on. It's just about everything there, and an opportunity lost. Yeah, Fletcher taking it out of defence. He doesn't put on a sidestep here. He just draws the man and put Eastwood clear. The defence can't hold him. Now it's a matter of can he go all the way. He's looking to see if he has any support with him. He's looking right up until the last minute. I think perhaps if he'd have cut inside, he might have done it himself. He objected, put it out to our side. Blacker dropped the pass. An opportunity lost.
Hull are actually going to take Gary Pearce off, I think. Which he must have a knock, and what a reception he'll get. Gary Pearce, with 3 tries and 3 goals, retires having done his job magnificently. Sullivan. Well, perished the thought for Hull Kingston Rovers, but Hull are approaching their best ever derby win at the Boulevard, which was 81 years ago. And they're actually playing out the rest of the game with 12 men. They haven't replaced Gary Pearce. So Devorty, Dannett and Pearce are all staying off. And they obviously feel they've done the job. On by Fletcher. And of course it really would be an irony if Hull Kingston Rovers were to be consigned to the 2nd division today by, of all teams, Hull.
Well, that's right, it is rather sad, but they played like a doomed side. There's been no sparkle, no zip in their play at all, a result of which Hull really haven't had to excel themselves, but they played good, sensible rugby and scored some sparkling tries.
Watkinson ran straight into referee Kershaw, of all people, and David Watkinson here, who hasn't scored a try for over 2 years, is pretty close to one. And Bishop out here, and they're trying to get Pratt in. I think it's only about the 2nd time in the match I can remember Pratt having the ball in his hands. Must be a lonely place to be out on the wing in a losing side. Here's Paul Fletcher, Mark 2. Still trying to get it away, knock on. Hull 26, Hull Kingston Rovers 2. And we've had a full 80 minutes, and it's certainly only the Hull fans who are singing. The Hull Kingston Rovers partisans have stayed to the end, disappointed, dejected though they may be, and contemplating life in Division 2 and trips to places like Runcorn and Keighley and Workington. Fulham is not very palatable for them.
Well, no, it isn't, but as you already said earlier on, that perhaps it's a time now for them to build back up again. If they then settle down and come out of it straight away, at least they'll know that they have a good future in the 1st Division the year after next.
It's all over, and the derby match, the 185th Humberside derby, has been won totally by Hull FC. Hull KR troop away to the comfort of their dressing room, knowing that it's going to be 2nd Division football for them next season. But Hull go away knowing that their bid for a home game in the Premiership has been boosted by this result. So 26 points to 2, and what a game for the Welshman Gary Pearce. 3 tries and 3 goals for him. O'Hara and Price also scored the tries for Hull, and it's to their dressing room that we go to find David Watkins again with the man of the match.
Well, derbies on Humberside are special occasions, and today was no exception. A fine performance by Hull over their old rivals, Hull Kingston Rovers, and the Stones Bitter Man of the Match award this afternoon goes to none other than, with his 18-point contribution, Gary Pearce. Gary. Well, congratulations, Gary. They say it's the Welsh connection. He's getting a bit of a habit, isn't it?
It is, actually. I'm having a bit of stick, but as today we had a big game against the Derby again. And I think we won the game first half. What we really stayed had, especially the forwards, put a big effort in, and we turned on 10-2, and I think we all thought then we had a good chance of winning the game. So a lot of credit goes to the forwards. All my tries are pretty near the line. So very happy, obviously.
Well done, and as I say, another good performance, and you seem now to be enjoying the game.
Yes, thanks so much. Lovely.
Well, Brian, it must be a very happy Australian coach who comes over and does a derby double over the old rivals.
I think I might be almost accepted as a proper whole person after doing the double over them, yeah.
Did you feel at all sorry in the end for the opposition side who looked totally crestfallen?
I can't say I feel sorry, but I can certainly relate to the position. I've been in coaching long enough to have been on the good side and the bad sides of it. And it's just a fact of life. Roger Millward's done a great job, and his career record speaks for itself, both as a player and a coach. But it happens to everybody at some stage. I feel that Rovers, it's just had to happen at some stage, and I hope they really bounce back from it.
What is sad is, of course, that you probably won't have derby matches against them next season now.
Oh yeah, but I mean the standard of the English rugby league now is at such a state that I don't think the derby matches are quite the importance that they used to be. Players now realise that they have to perform well every weekend.
And for you now, obviously, you've consolidated hopes of a top 4 place in a home game in the Premiership.
Well, we've got a bit to do before we can claim that. We've moved back into the top 4, but of course all the other teams have matches in hand. So we've just got to keep doing our best and hope that some of the lower teams can roll some of the top teams for us.
Thanks, Brian. You'll allow the lads a few lagers tonight, I don't think.
Not too many. We've got Featherstone on Monday.
What's the ambition now for the rest of the season?
Well, just hopefully we'll go for Premiership, get in top 4, get an home tie, and then hopefully win Premiership, get to Old Trafford. It'd be nice.
David, you've known some very good times with Hull Kingston Rovers, but these are not amongst the best, are they?
Certainly not, John. No, but you've got to take with the rough with the smooth. You know, we made a lot when we was having a good time, so we've got to lump it now.
Was that typical of your season today?
Yes. I think the lads in patches worked very, very hard, and then it seems as though they just seem to lose concentration for moments. And in the First Division, the state it's in now, you just can't do that. The strength's so great. Teams score at in a moment.
And confidence must have been fairly low for a long time now.
Yes, it has. We've been sort of fighting an uphill battle for a while now, and when the bounce of the ball's going for you, confidence rides high, and then it just isn't going.
Well, Mike, if I can come over to you, obviously depressing times. I mean, you've been with the club a long time. You couldn't have expected anything like this to happen.
No, you wouldn't have said that about 5 years ago, but this is a case in rugby league now. One side can't afford to slip or lose by the occasional point. You've got to be on top all the time and winning every week, so you've just got to play your best.
Some people say it might not be a bad thing for you to go down to the second division and rebuild, but do you see it that way?
Myself personally, no. I think any move going into the second division is a bad move, but we've got a lot of younger players that are being brought on this year that probably the second division might do them, but might bring them down to earth a little bit and might put the feet firmly on the ground, know what the job in hand is, and let's hope they can put the club back where it should.
Try by Featherstone's Derek Fox means Castleford failed to win again in the derby at Weldon Road. Lee Crooks is the match winner for Leeds against Bradford Northern. The men from Headingley are back on top of the league. Phil Eden's 2 second-half tries virtually condemn Halifax to the second division and keep Wakefield's hopes of another season in Division 1 very much alive. And Sheffield's Mark Aston maintains his record of scoring in every game this season as the high-flying Eagles take a huge step towards promotion. Now the results.
Starting in the Stones Bitter Championship, Castleford 14, Featherstone Rovers 14. Hull 26, Hull KR 2. Leeds 10, Bradford Northern 7. Wakefield Trinity 27, Halifax 10. In the second division, Fulham 20, Doncaster 16. Lee 14, Chorley Borough 6. Runcorn Highfield 6, Keighley 34. Swinton 26, Rochdale Hornets 6. Workington 5, Whitehaven 12. And finally York 0, Sheffield Eagles 21. At Headingley, if Leeds were expecting an easy ride against a Bradford side still not clear of relegation, they were in for a shock. Paul Harkin giving Northern the lead with a simple second-minute drop goal. Early on, playing against a stiff wind, Leeds lacked variety. Their support play was generally poor, and all too often they relied on individual rather than collective skills and made little headway against a resolute Bradford defence. Lee Crooks made their first telling contribution, a headbutt against Carl Fairbank, the first of several unsavoury incidents. And after being penned back in their own half by a succession of long kicks from David Hobbs, who used the wind intelligently, Leeds went further behind. Harkin making the break to send Fairbank over near the posts. Hobbs had no trouble tagging on the goal, and at half-time it was 7-0 to Northern. But after the break, it was Leeds' turn to use the wind to turn the screw. 4 minutes into the half, slick work from David Creaser put Gary Schofield over, and Creaser goal to cut the gap to 1 point. 9 minutes later, Leeds were ahead, with referee Mr. Haig signalling the 6th tackle. Heron, Creaser, Schofield, and finally Powell kept the ball alive for Spencer to send Crooks in on the right. That made it 10-7, and that was just about the last rugby we saw as the game degenerated into a series of unseemly brawls. The final score: Leeds 10, Bradford Northern 7. Meanwhile, at Weldon Road, Castleford badly needed a win over local rivals Featherstone to keep in touch at the top, and they got the perfect start with a well-worked try for Giles Boothroyd. Featherstone's first points came from the boot of Graham Steadman, but soon Castleford were hitting back with their second try midway through the half. Kevin Ward made the early break, got good support from David Rookley and Roy Southernwood, and Grant Anderson squeezed over for his 22nd try of the season. Rookley's goal made it 10-2. The best try of the match belonged to Featherstone. It came just before half-time. Trevor Clark dashed away down the middle and unselfishly supplied the pass which Paul Newlove miraculously held onto to cut the gap to 4 points. And Rovers got even closer just before the break through a Steadman penalty, though many in the crowd thought the ball had gone wide. At the start of the second half, an unsavoury incident involving Castleford's Keith England and Featherstone's Jeff Grayson led to a full-scale brawl. It culminated in Grayson getting 10 minutes in the sin bin, but England escaping unpunished. 2 goals from Kettridge put Castleford 14-8 in front, but it was Rovers who had the last word. Another beautifully worked move resulting in Derek Fox slicing his way through for the try. Steadman's conversion brought the scores level. A fair result in the end. Castleford 14, Featherstone 14.
So Leeds have climbed to the summit again, but they have played 4 games more than second-placed Widnes. Castleford are third, but they do have Widnes to play home and away, and Hull have jumped back to 4th place over Wigan. At the bottom, it looks like curtains for Halifax and Hull KR, both losers again today. Oldham are now favourites to go down with them after Wakefield's success. At the top of Division 2, Lee's promotion is confirmed, and what a good day it was for Sheffield Eagles. Not only did they win at York, one of their chief rivals, but Doncaster also lost, so it's looking like Lee, Barrow and Sheffield to go up. Well, there's a Sunday break for Scrum Down this weekend, but we'll be back on April the 2nd with another cracker from the top of Division 1. Castleford against Wigan is our match that day. But on this day, Humberside belonged to a Welshman, though the best try was scored by a New Zealander, Dane O'Hara, who's made the city of Hull very much his home. Good night.
And the next Scrum Down will be in 9 days' time, a week on Sunday at midnight.